The win streak is over. The Bears did not play well today. There's no question about that. We are still having a good time at Joe's on Weed Street, though. We're going to get you through everything that happened in this Bears loss, and it all starts right now. CHGO Bears Postgame. Ordinary. Use code CHGO365 at sign up. And as you can hear, we still got a great crowd out here at Joe's. Hey, the Bears are still 4-3. We're 4-3. It's not the end of the world, but
it doesn't feel
man,
good.
that was not a good game. I mean, there's a lot to break down. They really did not play well. And now for the second time in 4 years, now 5 years, they can say they lost to Tyler Huntley, which is just not something to be too proud of. What's going on? Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Corey Wootton, Greg Braggs here with you. Lance Briggs will be joining us shortly, too, alongside Jerry Azumah for our Players Only segment. We'll hear from Adam Jahns, who's at the game in Baltimore, and we'll have the locker room covered for you. Steven is our producer, as always, alongside Sarah helping us. We got Emma. We got Jake. Did anyone notice Jake's outstanding DJ?
DJ Jake.
The music like matched the mood. Like, when things got somber, then he started playing, he mixed some Taylor Swift in there, which I appreciated. Yeah, it was a good job by Jake. So appreciate everybody being here, and we got a lot to get to, boys.
Yeah, we do. And before we get deep into it here, I know there's a lot of upset people on the stage. And Hoge, I love your sort of 4-3. It's the world's not ending energy to start the show, but there's a lot to delve into here. And why don't we do that by starting with the Adam Hoge instant reaction presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
I gotta be honest with you. I need to go on a little rant here for a second. I can't wait. Let's go.
Yeah, so off the top, the world's not ending, guys. This is still a 4-3 team in the mix, still in playoff picture, still in the NFC North picture, but they got a lot to clean up. And that was my fear coming into this game, is that they've sort of been skating by without cleaning up enough of these mistakes, especially when it comes to penalties. I cannot believe they can't line up properly. I mean, Jonathan Ford is halfway in the backfield on that play at the end of the game. Like, what are we doing? They can't line up on a punt. Special teams was huge in this game. I don't know how much people realize that, but the Bears got their butts kicked in the kickoff coverage game on both sides. And then punt, they couldn't execute a great punt. On the other end, the Ravens executed a phenomenal punt to set up that interception that Caleb Williams had, which was probably the play of the game when it was all said and done. So, look, penalties are a huge problem. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. The Ravens' defense, as I feared, was probably better than the numbers indicated coming in. They got healthier. And we just got to be honest, quarterback needs to play better. He started off hot. Everything was good when it was scripted on the first couple series. And then there was a lot of inaccuracies from there. And yet he still did some of his hero ball stuff at the end and made some nice throws. But DJ Moore's wide open on the last play of the game, and he can't hit that. So there's a lot of things that are fixable. But at some point, the thing that I think concerns me is that was week 8. And when things are pretty much consistently inconsistent through 7 games and 8 weeks of the season, especially when it comes to penalties, at some point you are what you are, what the tape says. So that would be my big fear going forward. But a couple winnable games coming up here, and the Bears still do have a winning record.
This was one of the more confusing games that I've watched the Bears play in a long time, because they started out so incredibly well that I literally thought, after forcing a 3-and-out and going down the field, albeit did not get touchdowns, I thought they were going to win the game 40-10 after 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was of action. So look, what's been a theme is once they get out of the scripted plays, the offense just doesn't look as good, and it did not look, and that happened again today. Plus, you look. The fact of the matter is, the Bears are significantly banged up in the secondary. Tyler Huntley didn't throw for a whole lot of yards today, but he had a lot of success as far as the accuracy, 17 for 22, and just too many receivers running open there. They really, really missed Kyler Gordon today. But and look, I hear you, Hoge, on the 4-3, but this game against a 1-5 team with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, it's painful to lose this game.
Yeah, I think that's the most disappointing part about it. Lamar Jackson, who's arguably one of the best quarterbacks in this league, he's out this week. This is a great opportunity to go to 5-2, and against a guy like Huntley, we talked about it before the game. Stop the run. They weren't able to do that. They didn't generate the turnovers, and then offensively, you drive down the first 2 drives, you control the clock, you're grinding them down, and you have 2 field goals on both of those drives. You kind of thought, hey, you got to punch them in at least on the first one when you get down to the second yard line or third. You kind of thought they were going to get in there, but I think they just missed the mark. Caleb Williams was inaccurate at times. They were struggling to get things going offensively, some drops, penalties, but they just didn't play the way that you need to play to go 5-2 at this point. So I think they missed the mark on this one. It's definitely disappointing to see this one.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, and the bottom line is you can tell the inaccuracies are definitely step one. The penalties are 1 and 1A. The penalties have not stopped. They get 10 minimum per game. They have to be leading the league in penalties or close to it. And when you talk about a couple of the penalties, as we mentioned on our halftime show, a couple intentional groundings. That's bad decision-making and penalties. They're combined there. And then you also have the interception at the end of the game. That's a spot where you just cannot throw a pick. And I know he's been good with turnovers over his career, but at the end of the day, just like with the defense, where there is some luck involved with the amount of turnovers you're getting, there is some luck involved on the offensive side of the ball when you're not turning the football over. There's been some interceptable passes in the Raiders game, the Commanders game, and even the Saints game that didn't happen. And so the chicken comes home to roost here today. And now Ben Johnson, I see some people kind of talking about, oh, Ben Johnson needs to do this or that, and being critical of if he got out-coached by John Harbaugh today. This offense has to live up to Ben Johnson's standard. I know he doesn't have a resume as a head coach, but he has a resume as a play caller. Ben Johnson has been godsend for this team, and now it's time for the players to step up to his level. He's gotten this team to this point at 4-3, and there's nothing, in my opinion, to say about the defense. They are dropping like flies from an injury standpoint.
Including today. And so they're holding on for dear life. And when your offense is not producing, there's little I can expect from the defense after everything they've done over the last 4 games. The bottom line to me is Caleb Williams and this passing offense have to step up. And today they didn't. They got outplayed by Tyler Huntley, who made his first start of the year. And so that to me is concerning, and we have to see how they respond next week.
Well, they handed him the game. They took away a chance to win the game for themselves when you get picked off inside your own 20-yard line. That's just you're not going to win a lot of football games that way. And Caleb had he was crushing balls to Rome Odunze all day long. That ball was late. And what's his name had the pick there?
Nate Wiggins. He made a great play. He ran the route for Rome Odunze. Where I do think there are some areas to be critical of Ben Johnson today is like that play. I don't know if it's the exact play, but that route that Rome ran on, like they had been running that all game. Like at some point, even I know Nate Wiggins has kind of been struggling, but at some point the corners are going to pick up on that and they're going to be like, all right, I know exactly what's happening here. He recognized it, jumped the route. And you just can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. I didn't particularly like the play calls there right at the end. I don't know if it would have mattered. Bears had an issue with getting out of bounds, staying in bounds. Today, first half, Caleb inexplicably slides in bounds when the clock's running down, when he could have easily just run out of bounds. That ended up hurting them. I think it contributed to them not getting close enough, and then there was the intentional grounding after that, and they don't get the field goal. Big play in the game. And then this is nitpicking, but this is what really good teams do and understand. But like DJ Moore, that was a phenomenal catch right there at the end of the game, and he's running towards the end zone. you have two options. You either have to score or get out of bounds there. You don't have any timeouts. And he kind of got caught in between. So, like, these are just, like, the small little margins that and then after that, I didn't like the quarterback sneak because you don't have a timeout. You better get in if you're doing that. And they didn't. And then they're in a big heap, a pile where nobody can get up and all that clock's tick, 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 ticking. But then Caleb needs to make the throw after that, too. So I don't have a big problem with certainly what Ben Johnson's done here so far has been phenomenal. We don't necessarily need to nitpick him. But I did think that there was the Ravens on their end of things, guys. Their coaches did a really good job. Zach Orr did a great job during the bye week to make some adjustments. I think that defense is better than what they've been statistically. They get a lot of guys back. What a huge win for them. Not that we're doing a Ravens show, but to be able to get this victory today, get that win without Lamar, who I think will probably be back in his hometown Thursday playing. Now they can totally flip their season around by getting this win today.
I think that's the most frustrating part about it. You had a wounded team in the Ravens, right? The back was against the wall, all the controversy with Lamar and the coaching staff. They're taking away their fun, their ping pong, and all these different things. You had an opportunity to put them away, and they didn't. I mean, the way they started this game, you kind of thought, hey, they might put up 40 or 50 points on them. And they kind of fizzled out, with the 2 field goals, couldn't get things going. So I feel like they really missed the mark on today's game. Here's an opportunity where you had to go 5-2 to really continue this win streak, and they missed the mark on both sides of the football. They didn't play very well defensively, didn't play well offensively, and the penalties killed them. And they've been a pretty disciplined team the past couple weeks.
Well, and I said defensively the biggest key of this game in our pregame show, what mattered most to me was containing Tyler Huntley. If you couldn't make them one-dimensional and make him beat you with his arm, he's beating you with his legs. That opens up holes for Derrick Henry. That opens up so many other things for this offense. He had the big run at one point in the second half. That was a back-breaking play. They just weren't able to corral Tyler Huntley. But again, hard for me to be overly critical about the defense when they're down to their fourth, defensive back as your CB1. Your defensive lines has injuries. DeMarcus Robinson gets injured on the first play of the game. Thank you. Dominique Robinson, thank you.
Close enough.
It's just, and then now Javon Dexter goes out as well. I don't know where he stands in all of this. It's not good. I know Luther Burden also came out with a concussion as well.
It wasn't just that, too. You had Shamar Turner who went out with a knee injury, which seemed fairly significant, which Turner was playing some decent ball as of late. But, your Tyler Huntley point, the Bears just have a weird way of making – this guy was on the practice squad on Friday. I mean –
but this is a guy that –
he had made a start.
But this is a guy that's played a playoff start.
He's got 15 starts in his
He's started in the playoffs once. He's won he's made the Pro Bowl. I know it's a little thing. Who cares who makes the Pro Bowl?
He did?
Yes, he did. And so, yes, he did. Go ahead and Google it. But I'm just telling you.
What year did he make the Pro Bowl? It doesn't matter.
2022.
Look, losing to Tyler Huntley was always on the table today.
Yep.
It just was. That's why I ended up sticking with the Ravens. Even with the is he playing or is he not playing Lamar thing, I figured either way, I'm worried about it. I'm with Braggs, though. I'm not going to nitpick the defense here. You could have been up 14-0. Offensively, you have Ben Johnson here. You have a bunch of weapons. It is time to score more points. They ended up with one touchdown today. Too many missed opportunities, and then penalty after penalty after penalty. And they got to get things together from a special team standpoint because that's killing them right now. They're giving up long kick returns. They're not covering. Then they're not getting good returns. They're losing the field position battle constantly. And then there's penalty after penalty on special teams too. So it's just too messy right now.
Yeah, my question in the red zone offense, it's like, everybody just wants to point to Caleb inaccuracy as the issue, or does Ben not trust the quarterback in certain moments? They ran it 3 times to finally get in the end zone in the second half. But, I don't know what the right answer is because they're moving the football and then it just stops.
Yeah.
Like they hit a brick wall as soon as they get inside the 10, and they don't seem to have these answers. And, the one thing about Ben Johnson is we did bring him here to scheme things up and get guys open. And you see the Ravens, on that play action boot, get your tight end open up in the flat. I know at one point Caleb Williams had –
whoever that guy is.
Colston Loveland was open in the flat at one point. it would have been a wide open play, but they blitzed and Caleb just threw it away. So obviously the blitz is something that's bothering the offense as well.
And I think the moral of the story is you look at all the weapons offensively, right? Bears have some of the best weapons in all of football, but we're not distributing the rock right? Colston Loveland was a top 10 pick. We're not getting him involved right. And you look at Ben Johnson's offense, what he did with Sam Laporte in Detroit. There has been none of that here in Chicago, right? Cole Kmet before the injury wasn't getting involved. Colston Loveland hasn't been getting involved. It seems like the only consistent piece of this puzzle has been Rome Odunze as the receiving position, right? Obviously, Swift has got going the past couple of weeks, but there's not enough production from all these weapons here.
Yep. All right, well, we got to take our first time out. I do have good news for everybody, though, before we do that. Because if you're watching our pregame show, which you always should, for the first time we had an actual CHGO Bears parlay featured on Bet365. It was boosted up to plus 500, and that hit today. So if you were here for the pregame you took the CHGO,
Bears, let's go, Spencer.
Bears. Oh, Spencer, come on, man. Oh, no, Spencer didn't do it.
I did it.
They had to score first, which they did. Caleb had to get 20 rushing yards, which he did, and then DJ Moore had to get to 3 catches, which was actually the thing that took the longest, but then he ended up getting there when it was all said and done. So you have that for you. We will be right back with plenty more on everything that happened in this game, a lot more to break down. We got players only. Adam Jahns from Baltimore coming your way with all the reaction from the locker room as well. But first, hey, when the Bears go up by 17 today on the Ravens, you'll be an instant winner with the Bet365 early payout offer. You always get that instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app, use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And, throughout the week, you take advantage of all these offers. Thursday Night Football, $10 safety net bet. Sunday Night Football, there's a $365,000 jackpot. And on Monday Night Football, there's always the 50% super profit boost token on same game parlays. Breaking news from Bet365. It's football season, and new customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
And we are going to be at Joe's on Weed Street all day long, and thankfully, the iconic Joe's on Weed Street, and thankfully for that, you have your Mando on, because that is the deodorant control we need.
I'm going to be sweating today.
One swipe, you're good to go. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. You can hang out for 3 days right here. And after just 12 hours, the underarm sweat was reduced by 92%. And I've seen you got some shirts.
Only 8% of my stink because of Mando. That's good.
It's amazing. The Mando starter pack.
Still too much.
It is. It's Mando starter pack, perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. The mini body wash is amazing. So are the deodorant wipes. You get the free shipping. Special offer for you. New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide free shipping. SHOPMANDO.com. Mando, head to toe.
All right, let's get to a big money super chat here, which we should have done before the break, actually. Steven, I know we got a couple $50 ones, which I'm going to have to lean over your shoulder to read. Let's go with the Bears Dude, $50. Always appreciate these big money super chats. Presented by Toyota. Ben wants to run quick game. Caleb sucks at quick game. Whispers, maybe we look at Bison Tagent. That really sucked. 11-game losing streak incoming. I'm the dummy for buying in at all. Wow, that is extremely negative. I can guarantee you they're not going to be an 11-game losing streak. And they're not going to go to Tyson Bagent either. Does Caleb need to be better? Yes.
Well, what he's hitting on is interesting here because if we could just be a fly on the wall for the conversations of what Tyson and Ben are working on this week, as far as not Tyson and Ben and Caleb. Thank you very much. As far as getting on, what it's going to look like to get to the next level, to get the passing game back going. They really, they have not thrown for over 300 yards in any game this season. They could have easily done it in the Dallas game. Didn't need to do it. So if you want to give them that, that's like the one big passing out And maybe the Bears are just going to make their money on the ground. But at some point here, these two got to get to the next level of, this is why Ben came here and this is why you drafted Caleb number 1.
They do. Like I talked about earlier, they have too many weapons not to be consistent in the passing game. At this point, 8 weeks in, we like to see some growth. Right? We saw in that Dallas game, and I know Dallas has a struggling defense, but you kind of thought everything in the passing game was going on all cylinders. They were on the same page. But we see so many times with the timing and rhythm of things, him and the receivers aren't on the same page. So that's the tough part about it. You kind of thought at this point that it would be together, but I guess it's a work in progress, and they're not where we thought they would be.
All right, well, let's take a look at our franchise focus here and summarize Caleb Williams' day. He started off fast and then kind of struggled from there.
Steven's pulling it up for Hoge.
285 yards. I don't know what the completion is.
He was 25 of 38. Here, I'll read it for you. 25 of 38 for 285 yards. He did not throw a touchdown pass. Had the one interception down, which gave the Ravens the ball in their own red zone, which is painful. Yeah. QB rating of 77.2. Again, the numbers look pretty damn good. 25 of 38, that's not bad. 285 yards, you'll take that every single week. Obviously, you don't want that touchdown-interception ratio, but there was too much confusion, is how I would put it. They did not look in sync, and intentional grounding, which was a little bit off. He did not look comfortable to me today, is how I would put it.
Well, he looked great on the first couple drives.
Incredible early.
And I loved everything Ben Johnson was doing. He had Ozzie Trapillo out there doing some jumbo, play action out of the jumbo, lining him up as a fullback. A lot of those things were working, and then it just fizzled out.
Yeah, you wonder, does he have to dumb it down in a sense? And no disrespect to him at any point, but it's not syncing together offensively. But do they have to simplify things? Do you have to get old school football a little bit until you can get more comfortable in the passing game? You got to think of that. Because what we've seen the past couple of weeks since that Dallas game, we haven't seen any consistency with
the best thing they got going offensively right now, outside of the run game the last 2 weeks, which was phenomenal, and Carman running for 81 yards out of nowhere, that was fantastic. But of course, that was against the Saints. So what has been consistent has been the connection with Rome, which is a huge thing, because they're both in year 2, and those two are on the same page. But there still has to be a whole lot more. DJ popped off for 73 yards, but one of those was a 42-yard play late in the game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just think it's okay to have high expectations for Caleb Williams. He's the number 1 pick in the NFL draft 2 years ago, and now he's being coached by arguably one of the best play callers in the NFL, and he's not playing up to the standard. Were things off? Sure. Does he lock onto Rome a little too much? Sure. But the inaccuracies is the thing that I think has been most consistent throughout the year. At one point, you see, a sideline pass to DJ Moore, it's a little too high. You see one over the middle, a little too high. Off to the side. There's just too many instances where that happens. Now, when you make mistakes and now the Ravens are challenging you, then the bad decisions start to happen. The intentional groundings, as I continue to point out. The sliding before the half was a bad decision. I know he doesn't want to take the tackle there, trying to keep himself out of harm's way.
He can just run out of bounds, though.
I have a bigger problem with the intentional grounding. I agree. That was bad. That's high school stuff. I agree with you. Get out of bounds. You got to know the situation. He's been pretty good about that this year. At one point, he slid to stay inbounds at the end of a game earlier this year. But everything just feels too sped up. I agree with you, Carm, that there's just everything feels out of sync, not in rhythm. And so it is on Ben Johnson to find a way to get these guys back into rhythm, what he does best. Dumbing it down, what does that mean? Because the quick passing game is the thing he struggles with most. How are you going to be able to just let him call plays of what he's most comfortable with? It definitely feels like he wants to push the ball downfield. I also think he needs to run the ball a little more at times. He did at one point make a big play with his legs. You got a little more, not too much. I respect the fact that he keeps his eyes downfield, but take the yards that you can get at times, especially on first down.
And early on in the game, you look at the first play of the game. What did they do? A bootleg, right, for a nice completion.
Right.
Then they set up the run game. So I think early on and throughout these games, until he gets more confident in some of the longer passes, you kind of have to dumb that down a little bit, right? Run left, some boots, some play action, just to get him confident. Because early on, I know it was scripted plays, but he looked a different level of confidence in those first 2 drives than what we saw later in the game as the game went on.
Well, and the margin of error is small for this team. It has been all year. They went on a blocked field goal. They went on a fumble by Jaden Daniels and a game-winning field goal. That their margin of error is small. And so when you are racking up 10-plus penalties a game, a lot of them coming on the offensive side of the ball, you are not going to win many football games. And then today, as we've been saying or predicting, like the turnovers aren't always going to happen. The takeaways aren't always going to happen. You can't expect to get 3-4 turnovers every single game. It didn't today, so that meant the offense needed to execute much cleaner than they have in the last few games. They didn't. They lost.
You know what's crazy, though? I think if Tremaine Edmonds doesn't tip that pass, sometimes you just get on. That's the turnover luck we talk about, right? And it's just like when I say like the law of averages, like sometimes it's just going to – because if he doesn't tip that, I think that's a house call for Kevin Byard. Because he had already read it. He was jumping it, and I think he was going to have that, catch it in stride, and maybe score on it. But you obviously don't blame Tremaine Edmonds for tipping, and he's just doing his job. But that's just – sometimes the luck just kind of goes the other way. Yeah.
So do you guys think they have to be right now with the way the offense is set up, just be a run-first team, right? Really pound the rock, work that out, work play action off it, just because it seems like in the passing game it's just not working correctly, just the rhythm and the timing of that and him and the receivers being on the same page.
I don't have a popular take on that because, look, you are trying to ultimately get to a point to win the Super Bowl. All right. I mean, it'd be sweet if the Bears made the playoffs this year. I'd love to see it. It'd be great for all of us here. And it'd be great for all Bears fans just to have the fun of a season. But you are trying to hit the ultimate point, which is win the whole thing. And to do that, to try to squeeze whatever you can out and maybe slow down the progress of Caleb. I'm not saying you got to go out there and have him throw it 45 times or whatever. But I wouldn't want to just let's turtle up the offense and try to see if we can win games.
The Ravens did a good job of bottling down the run, and that's where I'm talking about bye week adjustments. They've obviously been watching the Bears very closely the last couple weeks, so they can see exactly on tape how the Bears have gotten better on those combination blocks to get to the second level. And I thought that they adjusted very, very well to make sure that those linemen, if you notice, when the Bears were trying to run in between the tackles, those linemen weren't able to get off that initial block as much. They weren't getting as much penetration upfield or push upfield, I should say. And so I sometimes the other team makes good adjustments and plays like that. So I just think this looks different if Caleb's better on some of those inaccurate passes, and that's I even go the second field goal of the game when they settled for it and they went up 6-0. I mean, that was a straight up miss on third down. Yeah. It's a pass that needs to be made, and if you make it, then it's maybe a touchdown at 10-0, and that feels completely different.
And not only that, on one of the intentional groundings, the second one I believe, where he has a blitzer come off the edge. Colston Loveland is open on the left side, wide open, and he just decides to throw it away because he's trying to be responsible with the football. He's like, all right, this play's broken. I'm going to get it. But I'm sorry, maybe this is too lofty of an expectation, but I expect my quarterback to stand in there and make that throw, and he didn't even give Colston Loveland a chance. He's just throwing it away to dirt the play and go on to the next one. Instead, it becomes an intentional grounding. You got to stand in there and make that throw. There are also a couple times where he's not trusting that the blitz is going to get picked up. And I think from my standpoint, just watching how he's trying to operate, he's just trying to be responsible. But I think he's kind of overcorrecting a little bit there. And he needs to stand in the pocket and deliver some tougher throws.
And, we've kicked around the penalty part of this, which is partly at times, at least on Caleb and getting the guys organized and false starts and whatnot. It's not entirely on him, obviously. But you just look at their numbers. 12 in week 1 against Minnesota, then 8 against Detroit, 6 against Dallas in the win. That was the least they had all year long.
Nice job against Dallas.
8 against Vegas, 9 against Washington, 10 against the Saints, 11 today. That's 64 total, 533 yards. So you're averaging, in what are they, 7 games divided by 533, whatever that is. That's, about 75 yards a game in penalties.
And you can't be up towards 10 penalties a game. That's just unacceptable, and it has to be fixed immediately. You can't. You just can't be a good football. You can hover around 500. You could be playing meaningful games in December, but you're not a real contender if you're consistently shooting yourselves in the foot that much. All right, let's get to another Toyota Big Money Super Chat. Before we take our next break, we got players only coming up next. Jonathan Parts with a $50 super here. Says Caleb cannot run the offense, and his arm, talent, and escapability is fool's gold because of it. If not for his draft status, he would be benched. He made a completely winnable game, not even close. I'm sick of excuses for this Montessori quarterback. So, that's obviously, and we appreciate the super chats, but that's obviously over the top.
Well, this is the emotion of the Bear fan.
Justin in the back's yelling at us to lay off the quarterback.
Well, we were reading somebody else's super chat for the record.
It's a very, very,
it's both sides of it.
It's a tough needle to thread, as we have learned on the show year after year after year after year.
Yeah, it takes time with quarterbacks, and it just seems like he's not on the same page, and I think it's hard sometimes because everybody wants overnight results, and they look at Drake May's doing, and look at this quarterback's doing this. But Rome wasn't built overnight, just like the quarterback situation. Yes, would we like them all to play better? Did he play great? No. Yeah. He has to get better, and I think it's a work in progress, and hopefully by the end of the season or at some point in the season, we'll see everything come together, and that's why you hope you gave Ben Johnson the job to take him to the right place.
There's nothing wrong with criticism as long as it's valid. And if your player that you're criticizing is good enough, then he can take that criticism. And so this idea that we as a Bears podcast, whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Mitch or Fields or now Caleb, the criticism is going to happen, and it's how he responds to this here going forward. Anybody calling for change at quarterback, that's not going to happen. Ben Johnson now has to figure out how to get this guy to the next level, but criticisms are warranted, and now the heat's going to be turned up because there is a high expectation level for a number one pick. And Drake May is playing well in New England with a first-time play caller and arguably not as good of pieces around him in offense. So he should have expectations, and now the challenge for Caleb Williams is to live up to those expectations. Today he didn't, but that doesn't mean that I'm personally out on Caleb Williams, but we need to buck this trend over the last couple weeks where the passing offense has looked ugly. I'm fine with fighting through the mud against Washington, but these last couple weeks have not been up to the standard, and Ben Johnson's got to raise it.
Well, you ran through the QBs there. Shout out to Justin Fields, who we I think buried on the show last week, said he'd never be good. The Jets got
the owner buried him.
Oh yeah, the owner did. Yeah. Fields got his first win, 39-38. Jets over the Bengals. He threw for 244. Shout out Justin.
I do think that's a cool story because he had one of the weirder weeks ever to have the owner say what he said, get benched.
You suck.
And then on Saturday find out we have to actually play you now, and then he went out and played. He didn't have a phenomenal game, but he played better. 99 passer rating.
32 touchdown.
And more importantly, they won the game 39-38 over the team the Bears play next week, the Cincinnati Bengals. That was a big loss for the Bengals, who could have gotten back to 500 with the victory. All right, we will take another timeout. Players only is up next. Lance Briggs, Jerry Azumah will come down and sit with us for the next segment. But first, hey, Bears fans, Toyota has 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The RAV4 has legendary versatility. The Grand Highlander's adult-sized third row is for real, and the Tacoma's wild side comes standard. From job sites to campsites and game nights, there's an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive Toyota to get you there in style. Find yours at Toyota.com or visit your Chicagoland Toyota dealer.
That's right, and a quick reminder that everyone should become a diehard here at CHGO Sports. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content. Adam Jahns putting out weekly pieces that have been must-read for you. You get a free shirt as soon as you sign up. Discounts on future merchandise and events like the one we're having right now at Joe's on Wheat Street. You could have had a discount on that one. So go to allchgo.com/diehard for the latest information on how you can join all the thousands of CHGO diehards in our community.
And a shout out to our friends at RC Cola. Soda used to have some kick, and now it just turned into pretty colors and the easy fizz and all that stuff. We don't need that. RC Cola, not just a soft drink, just damn good cola. And let's be honest, we've been drinking a whole lot of it since they joined up with us. And it's changed our lives. We're a lot happier. You've become a more fun person to be around. It's amazing. It's the original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RC is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow up. RC hasn't changed anything since 1905. That's right. It was a sweet here back in 1905. Let's go back and do it again. It's the same bold, crisp flavor it's always been. Right. RC Cola tastes like a punch in the thirst. Do yourself a favor. Grab some RC at your local store. Stock up for all your Bears victory parties, back-to-school celebrations, whatever you got going on. Just watching the game. RC is the move for whatever you are doing.
Yeah, the Bears needed some RC Cola today, I think.
Needed some spark.
Needed
spark them out real quick.
For sure.
Guys, Lance Briggs, Jerry Azumah sitting down. Of course, Corey Wootton is our players-only segment. I'll just tee things up and let you guys roll here for a little bit. But obviously, the penalties and just they just
kill you.
You already know how I feel about that.
You talked about this last week. Touch on that.
You already know how I feel about that. I mean, the easiest way to kill drives and kill momentum is to, just get penalties on yourself, unforced penalties. Like I said last week, if you're in the heat of the moment in a battle and penalties happen, we'll live with that stuff.
But how do you
pre-snap penalties?
You lined up like a foot offsides over the ball.
Yeah.
Like you're not even like a cornerback over on the side. Like you're
You really wanted to make a play.
The ball's right there.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's very frustrating because I think we've all seen that movie 8 Mile, right? They cheddar bobbed themselves in this game in the past couple of weeks, right? They think everything's all gravy, but they cheddar bobbed themselves. You can't shoot yourself in the side or whatever you want to call it. You can't cheddar bob yourself in games like this, especially in situations when offensively you're not getting things going. The passing game isn't working, and the defense didn't get the turnover. So in this game, you got to play a damn near perfect game, especially as far as that goes.
Well, you don't have to really play a perfect game. I mean, the fact that you were in the red zone so many times, like I said, we like the money that jingles, but we'd rather have the money that falls. We need to score touchdowns when we're in the red zone. That's what it comes down to. If you kick field goals, it's good, but as you saw, the Ravens came right back, scored a touchdown, and then now it was 6-7, and now they're playing, from behind. We can't let that happen. If you're in the red zone, we have to figure out ways to score touchdowns, and that's what it comes down to.
There's nothing that happened in this game that hasn't happened before. The only thing that didn't happen is we didn't get the takeaways.
Right.
Yeah. So the takeaways have been covering up for a lot of what has been happening or continuing each week. So we're plus 11. I think we lead the league in the turnover ratio. If we're not getting those, and I thought that it was going to happen in the beginning when Sweat had Huntley and the ball came out. I thought that was the beginning of something. Byard drops a pick.
Right.
Although when you look at it again, it was tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough angle where he's going, and it was a tip ball. But we are right now. This Bears team is dependent on those 4 takeaways.
It's their identity.
Right. In order to cover up for the things that happened today, which we've seen over and over again. And those are the things that if we don't get them cleaned up,
it catches up to you.
Correct. And what did it do? It caught up to us.
Oh, my goodness.
It caught up
bit
now.
us.
Yep.
It bit us.
And you look at this game here, talking about before the game, what's the key? Stopping the run. And defensively, control what you can control. Stop the run. They didn't do that.
Nope.
A lot of those zone reads, there was no clear cut, hey, does the linebacker have the edge or does the defensive end? So many times during the end of the game when you needed to stop, you didn't know who had who, right? They hit the corner. They were able to stay in bounds, keep the clock running. So they weren't able to stop the run in key situations. And you thought against a guy like Huntley, yes, he's had some wins, he's had some success, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
Nope.
So if you can knock out that run, you're going to be able to beat them.
We also talked about matchups. You have to win your matchup. It's man versus man. You have to go out there and beat your guy. There wasn't a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? We should have been in a position to make Huntley very uncomfortable. But they found some rhythm with running the football, and we have to be able to stop something. If you can't stop the run, then you can't win in the NFL. That's just kind of how it goes. And if you don't stop the run, which we didn't stop today, it was hard to catch that win.
We've had a great ride, on this win streak. It doesn't happen often in Chicago.
It was fun. It was fun. It was fun.
What I mean? And people, as soon as we started having those couple of wins, people were talking, hey, Super Bowl and all these things. It was a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. The thing about it is that even though the streak is gone, there are things that we can clean up. They're all within the control of the players. The false start, the lining up.
When do we start cleaning that up? When does that start happening? We've been talking about this from the very first football game.
Right.
When do we start to clean up the penalties that we are doing
now.
ourselves?
Well, we're fully exposed now. So now it's not like you can go in. We're dealing with the win, and everybody's talking Super Bowl, and you're going into the meeting rooms and you're saying, "Listen, we've got to clean these things up for us to continue this streak. Mm-hmm. If we want to continue to win games, we have to do this and that." Now, everybody has seen that us be exposed and not have anything be able to sweep it under the rug like the takeaways.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That brings a lot of excitement when they're driving into our red zone. We get a pick, and nullifies points and gives us the ball back.
Right.
We don't have that right now. So now all eyes are on the Bears and how do we respond?
Here's the thing. How do you clean up the penalties? How do you clean up false starts? Because I feel like this team is very undisciplined right now. Like there's no discipline.
How old are these guys?
Trust me.
When you say
I'm on your side.
When you say how do we clean this up?
I don't know how
they
keep on doing it.
How does a 26-year-old fake an injury in soccer? You know what I mean? Like if somebody comes and when they do the replay and it shows that foot clearly missed the shin, but you fall and you're like, ah!
And they see Jesus.
You know what I mean? So at a 26-year-old that's playing football, how the hell are you not sitting in there until the ball is supposed to be snapped?
The ball is right there. You're looking at it.
And at the end of the day, if I'm jumping off sides, hell, you know what? I will be the last one off the ball on this snap.
Yes.
Exactly.
When everybody else moves, then I'm going to move, and it might hurt me. It might hurt me against the guy that I'm facing,
There's a discipline issue.
It will not be me on this play.
Yeah, when it comes to discipline, like I love Ben Johnson, I love Dennis Allen, but it all creeps in from the coaching staff. We've all seen
1000%.
coaching staffs that, you switch from one to another, and all this stuff creeps in, right? We talked about with Rod Marinelli to Mel Tucker.
Yep.
The difference between that. So
Big
a
time.
lot of stuff crept in, and I think that's starting to creep in. And by week 8, that really is worrisome. Usually the first 3 to 4 weeks, that's when you iron out this stuff, and there's some issues here. But at week 8, you should not still have
11
those
penalties
issues.
for 79 yards.
They don't have an iron. They're not ironing it out right
Not at
now.
all.
I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on the red zone struggles. Bears getting down, they're moving the ball to get in the red zone, and then today it was just like hit the brakes, they couldn't get it. What do you guys feel like is the biggest problem?
Listen, when you're that close to the end zone, you have to want it. At the end of the day, sometimes for some of these plays, you have to want it. And if that's one extra step that you can jump to get that ball across the goal line, that's what you got to do. And we're going to say, okay, listen, I didn't like this play or I didn't like that play, but there were opportunities for guys to absolutely sell out to get that ball across the goal line. And when you're in a situation like the Bears, and it's like, okay, we don't consistently score a lot of points. Every touchdown is valuable. That's exactly what you have to. It's just a mentality. At the end of the day, it's a mentality.
I mean, if you look at this offense and you say, okay, what is their identity? Their identity actually is the run. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So, like, if you were down inside the 10-yard line, I would think that you would want to run the ball effectively and efficiently. Get guys hunting, get the offensive line moving forward, and then hand the ball off. This is what their identity is they're doing really well with running the ball the past couple of games. They've been really good at running the ball. Stick with it. And like I said, sometimes you have to be patient with the run. You have to be patient with the run, but at the same time, you can't abandon it and start panicking and throw the ball all over the place. Your identity is you got to run the ball. I expect more runs down there.
But you never, and Zoom, you were a running back. You never stop your legs from churning.
Right.
You never, ever stop your legs from churning. And so what happens when you stop your legs from churning, it now becomes a video review.
Yes. Yep.
Don't make it a video review. All right, and I say this because I saw Swift stop his turning his legs. He gets turned, keep turning your doggone legs until you feel like you're 5 yards past the goal line.
Right.
So there's no question whether you scored or not.
Look at what DJ Moore did on that one catch on the sideline. He did exactly what you're talking about. It looked like he was going to get stopped, and he just kept moving those legs. He slipped the tackle, and he ended up getting the first down.
That's key. But the first drive, right, you're down on the 2-yard line. And you have a second down play where you do a gun run that I didn't agree with, but they missed the block. The guy's right in the backfield on there, I'm a nun guy, and then all of a sudden you lose yardage in that situation. On second down, I'm running 2-3 downhill runs till I get in the end zone. I don't care about anything else. Caleb getting a touchdown, I'm getting the ball in the end zone. That's smash mouth football, and you say, if you don't get in there, that's on the offensive line. You go to the sideline, you say, you guys got to do better, and they didn't do that.
Sets the tone.
I don't see Ben Johnson as a guy that's like, we're Seattle in the Super Bowl and we have Marshawn Lynch back there. I want, I really do see him as a guy that's like, I want these points. Let's do what we need to do. And so, and it's not anything but what you're saying, but he doesn't give those vibes. No. He gives the vibes of whatever we have to do to win, we need to do.
And here's another thing too, is like Colston. We've been talking about him. He's a top what pick?
10.
Top 10 pick, right? In the red zone, he is a big target. He's physical. He's athletic. These are all the things that they talked about. I expect for his presence to be felt in the red zone. And I feel like they didn't even look for him in the red zone.
So if you could talk about that, like imagine covering a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", that's athletic. You're essentially playing basketball out there. So why not throw it up to him or a guy like Rome Odunze in those situations? But they haven't capitalized on the tight end. We look at how Ben Johnson ran this offense with Laporta. We just haven't seen any of that.
You see that TV over there that has the Colts game on?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, while you guys were talking, I just saw Tyler Ward jump up and catch a 15-yard pass.
Stop it.
Listen. All right, listen.
Stop it. We
can talk about Tyler Warren all you want or any of the other tight ends. If Tyler Warren were playing in the Chicago Bears defense right now, he'd have just as many catches as Colston Loveland right now. And we'd be talking about Colston Loveland having however many catches.
Just because of the target share with all the people involved?
Well,
the offense?
Where we are offensively right now.
Yeah.
I've talked about featuring Colston. Loveland. I've talked about they have to feature him, and they had a perfect opportunity to feature him in the red zone.
Correct.
We were down there, our first 2 possessions, came away with, 6 points, but we need to come down with touchdowns. If you're not going to run the ball effectively and stick with it down there, then throw it to one of your biggest targets and your biggest athletic guy and a top 10 what pick?
Top 10 in the first round.
10. Well, a tight end is every quarterback's favorite target in the red zone.
Absolutely.
It really is a security blanket there. We look at every great team. What do they have? The great tight end.
That's right.
So you just got to get them involved and get them activated. And right now, you haven't been utilizing the way you need to. So you kind of got to force it a little bit.
But why is that? How come it's not come to fruition right now? Like, how come they're not even looking for him?
Well, I think right now they see the relationship between him and Rome. They see DJ as well getting off. Obviously, the running game with Swift and company. But I just think they're not making an effort to get him the ball.
You're missing out on one key factor here. One very, very important factor. Why he's not getting the ball? Because there's a quarterback that we have to do a system a specific way.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the quarterback now. All right, you got to have a quarterback that says, okay, boom, we can do whatever we want to do when we get into that red zone. And when you have specific players that sometimes limit some of the things that you do, there are only certain things you feel like you're confident doing going into the red zone.
We did have a wide receiver that was open in the back of the end zone that we did miss. Yeah. So accuracy is definitely an issue there, too.
It shouldn't be hard, though, if you have a guy that's 6'7", and he's playing tight end.
You're right.
To say, hey, listen, we're going to be lined up here. Let's toss it to him.
I get it.
6'7".
Football doesn't have to be hard.
All right,
Football does not have to be hard.
Nope. Simplify it.
We got to take our next time out here, get to a break. Appreciate you guys being here, though. And as soon as we're done here on this show, Brick by Brick After Show, we'll start with Jerry Azumah, Lance Briggs, and Greg Braggs Jr. That's all coming up. We'll hear from Ben Johnson next and get out to Adam Jahns in Baltimore as well. But first, you've been feeling that fall weather this week. Winter will be here before you know it. The furnace has been running, which begs the question, is your home's heating up for the challenge? Because it's only going to get worse. Now's a great time to schedule your 4 Seasons furnace tune-up. But, of course, that's not all they do. If you got a plumbing emergency, what do you do, Carm?
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You call 4 Seasons. Electrical emergency, Call Four Seasons. If you need a hot water tank installed today, like Greg does, call Four Seasons. Four Seasons are guaranteeing same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs with no extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. And if you need a new furnace, you can save up to $4,000 right now on furnace and comfort systems with Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Again, they've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com.
Fresh hot water so Brags could fill up the pool wintertime, do a little whirlpool action.
Sounds lovely.
I love that for you. I also love our friends at Eye on the Ball. Coaches, listen up. If you're looking for more athletes to train, this is the way to do it. It's super simple. You create your profile, you upload your background check, boom, you are in, and there's a new promo, free for you for 6 months. If you want to get out there, help kids learn how to play hoops, hockey, tennis, swim, whatever you got, you want to give back, this is the way to do it. Best part of it, Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedule. You are in control. You're in control how much money you're going to make, the whole thing. So if you're ready to grow your coaching business, reach more athletes, get it going right now. Check it out at eyeontheball.net. That is eyeontheball.net. Don't wait. There are elite athletes out there, or even just the marginal ones, just trying to get better. They're all out there, and they are like me, and they're looking for you.
All right, back here on the CHGO Bears Postgame Show, we are going to hear from the head coach now, Ben Johnson. Apparently this is short and sweet.
5 minutes.
The head coach after the Bears lost today.
Dom Robinson had an ankle. Shamar Turner had a knee. Luther Burden had a concussion. And then OZ, we're still taking a look at his knee right there. So that's what we got for injuries. In terms of the game, give Baltimore a lot of credit. You know, they came out and they played a physical brand of football just like you would expect. You know, they were hungry, they were determined, and truth be told, I expected a little bit more out of our squad to counter that on up. So we fell short. You know, it's our first game in a while, really all season, that we didn't have a takeaway. And so when that happens, you really got to play a clean game, and we didn't. You know, we're double digits in penalties once again. We're not scoring in the red zone. You know, we couldn't quite get off the field as often as we'd like on defense. So they had some good drives. I think, time of possession-wise, they did a nice job controlling the game. And like I said, we fell short. But our guys, we're gonna get this thing cleaned up. I know they understand how important it is that we play cleaner as a team and we complement each phase better than what we did today. And so that'll be our mission here this week. Go ahead and open it up.
And offensively, with the inconsistency, what's most urgent to you right now in getting that side of the ball humming a little bit better?
Yeah, you know, I think you see flashes of some explosive plays and some really good things happening. But the penalties to me is what stands out first and foremost. You know, we still have some of the pre-snap issues. There's occasional not getting lined up quite right. There's occasional not getting the motion quite right. And so that stuff it adds up and it hurts us. We get away with it occasionally, but it's just not the way you win in this league. And so I think, you know, I really put it on the leaders there in that locker room to get this ship going the right direction in that regard. Us coaches, we've been pounding that drum now for a while, and we haven't gotten the results we wanted. So it's on the leaders here on this team to get us right.
What was your overview at the end of the first half with the intentional grounding, and then you guys had to kind of scramble to get the kickoff there?
Yeah, I thought we had a chance there for points before half. We had a good opportunity to do that, and the intentional grounding certainly didn't help. And so now we're in a position 3rd and long with no timeouts where we know if it's a clock running and we're short of the line to gain that we'll need to get our hurricane unit out there, our field goal team out there real quick. So I thought the execution of all that was nice, but that's a really long field goal, and so it's a low percentage deal, something that we would like to avoid. So that intentional grounding certainly hurt us.
Did the Ravens and Huntley do anything that you might not have expected, or did they just do it well and it was tough to defend?
Yeah, you know, I thought Coach Monken always does a great job just schematically. mixing things up. And like I said before, they play a physical brand of football. And so that showed up. That offensive line was getting after it. And, I thought our defensive line, it was quite a battle there throughout the game. We were intent on not letting 22 get started. I thought for the most part we did a pretty good job of that. But then, Huntley hurt us with both his arm and his legs. We let him get some big ones on the ground, and then he threw some accurate balls there in the air. And so I think at one point he was like 12 or 13 or something like that coming out of halftime. So, he played really well, and we didn't do enough to affect him.
And what was your vantage point on the interception that Caleb threw there?
I didn't quite see it. I'll have to check it out on film just one more time. Just in my mind, there might have been another option that we could have gotten to.
Any sense of what happened on the last 3 plays of the game? Obviously, you get down there, it's a desperate situation, but you've got a completion short of the goal line, a quarterback sneak, and then a 4th down play.
Yeah, I don't like my call on the quarterback sneak. I could have gotten to something better there. But yeah, we have plays set up to go tempo down there, and I probably didn't do a good enough job in that department.
Did the participation saga with Lamar Jackson, what was your reaction to that both yesterday and as it unfolded?
Yeah, we always prepare for, like I said earlier in the week, we were preparing for Lamar, and then, when we found out that he wasn't playing, then, we get ready for the next guy.
Kyler went on IR yesterday. What exactly happened with him throughout the week, and how long-term is this for him?
Yeah, we're hoping it's going to be of the short-term variety, so we should be able to get him back. But, yeah, it's another soft tissue injury that we're dealing with.
All right, so that's actually big news there right at the end because, like I said on the pregame show, with the lack of information and really not even knowing what had happened going into this game with Kyler Gordon, you didn't know. Is that a season-ending groin? Is that more of what Jalen Johnson not that he's out for the year, but we knew that was going to be long-term. To hear Ben say it's of the shorter variety,
it's good. Maybe
that's actually just 4 games. We know he's going to miss the next 3. He missed today, but they obviously missed Kyler Gordon today. I'm going to start with this. I know we got a lot to react to, Carm, to what Ben just said, but I want to point out, even in a loss, how much I love that guy in his press conferences because, as we talked about off the top, the one thing I was kind of nitpicking Ben for today is I didn't like those play calls right at the end, especially the quarterback sneak. He called himself out for that too. Bad call, didn't like it, wants it back, and I appreciate when coaches do that.
Exactly. It's always nice for coaches to have accountability, especially in that situation with the QB sneak. You got to think Caleb Williams isn't the biggest quarterback in the world. Why would you do that in that situation? It's not like
I'm more worried about the clock because if you don't get in, you're in a pile of people. Exactly. Whereas even if you just run the ball there, everybody can get up faster and easier. But when you quarterback sneak and you get just a massive humanity all piled up on top of each other, you're burning 20 seconds just getting up.
Exactly.
And know your team. It hasn't really worked all year trying that.
We're not the Eagles, right, in a situation like that where they do the tush push and it's successful for them.
So hold on a second. That was an unbelievably transparent Ben Johnson right there in that entire press conference. Yeah. When he came down to the penalties, he said that we as coaches have done everything that we possibly can. It is on the leaders on this team. So to get this right, that is a direct shot at Caleb, at Joe Tooney, at Garrity Jarrett, at Kevin Byer, and Cairo Santos, who are your 5 captains, and anybody else you want to put in there that is leading the way. He put it right on them.
I need Cairo Santos this week in practice to make sure that they are lined up, not over the ball. Wait, what?
Yeah, right. So
come on. We're talking like this. Some ridiculous. Of this stuff is so.
Well, but that's the thing. That's the
basic high school football stuff. It's driving me insane.
Right. So you go back to the Jonathan Ford one that you're talking about. Whoever was out there should have grabbed him and pulled him back. Dude, your head is in the quarterback's butt. Like, what are you doing? Get back. You're offsides. That's an impossible thing to do. Yet the Bears did it today. I thought that was huge. And he did not mince words. Also, with his disappointment in the quarterback, he said twice at the end of the half. Yeah, the intentional grounding, didn't want that. And he then came back around to it again. And then when it came down to the interception that he threw, he's like, I got to look at it again. But I thought there was another option on that play. He is putting it at the leaders. He's going at the quarterback. And he's also putting it himself on some stuff, too. I mean, everybody's in it.
It's not Caleb's first intentional groundings of the season either. Yep. So this has become a reoccurring issue. And so they got to get it cleaned up. It's it's a bottom line thing. I do think the Joe Thuney false start, I didn't see anything on that when they showed the replay.
Okay, so this is the part where we can yell at the officials. What he did was, I thought he was just sort of readjusting his stance.
Exactly.
And I think the officials in that situation would have let it go. I guess you got to give the Ravens a little bit of credit because they basically just walked into the backfield and were like, no, you're calling this.
Yeah.
And so then let's say that what if the officials had been like, no, we're not calling that. Now you're in the backfield, so now it's offsides. But then everyone would have looked at the tape and said, well, Joe Thuney did move a little. Yeah. So
it was interesting because there was 3 different instances where you're saying the Ravens were putting it on the officials. On the forward progress, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
That was the call was forward progress. They blew the play dead, then the ball comes out. That happens 10 times a game. But because the Ravens freaked out about it on the sidelines, we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out how that went down. Then the Joe Thuney thing, same thing. Then after the forward progress play, there was another thing where they're trying to get them on a false start, and they ended up not calling anything and letting the play run. But, the Ravens were just trying to kind of create chaos a little bit there.
I think in that situation, Thuney should have fired off the ball when they stepped over the line. When the Baltimore defenders were like that over, he should have reacted to him.
Yeah. And then put it back on them.
But I think when he didn't, they were like, oh, yeah, he did probably go offside.
And then let's just be honest. That was offensive pass interference. It was a face mask. It was a huge call in the game that was missed by the officials. Bears were still in it at that point. They would have gotten the ball back. That was a huge third down, and it just feels like this team is just not getting the call. The calls just seem to be going against them instead of it the other way around in a crucial moment. But otherwise, this wasn't as bad as the last 2 games when it came to the officials, but that was a big miss that they missed.
I mean, there's been bad calls against the Bears all year long.
Yeah.
But the Bears are also stubbing themselves in the foot all year long. You can't say around 10 penalties a game and they're all on the officials. It just can't. And so it's interesting that Ben Johnson said, hey, it's on our leaders. We're doing everything we can. I do think there is some pushback there as well. The buck stops with you, Ben Johnson. You're the head coach of this team. So you're drawing a line in the sand. And so this week at practice will be interesting. Let's see how they respond against the Bengals. But I'm not letting Ben Johnson off the hook just because he wants to put it on the players. I think that's interesting and notable. But,
but that's what I mean. This is where he can get away with that stuff because he's also saying, I screwed up that play call at the goal line and shouldn't, so he's, as long as you're willing to point out your own mistakes, then I think it lends credibility to when he's saying, no, this is on the leaders. We've drilled this stuff to death. You got to figure this out. Now, I want to talk about the interception because we're kind of getting conflicting quotes. We heard from Ben Johnson there, and Ben Johnson said that he had to go look at the film, but he said there might have been another option that we could have gotten to there. And Adam Jahns, according to him, said that Kyle Monangai was open heading into the right flat, so that might have been that other option. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams, seen here on Twitter, said it was a good read. Rome man-to-man with the guy that caught the pick. I just didn't give a good ball to Rome.
All right, you ready for what do you want to say to that before I jump in? Sorry.
I didn't have a huge problem with the ball. I think it was just a repetitive play that he just wasn't as open as you thought he was, and there was another option to go to, and the guy made a great play on you. So I gotta side with Ben Johnson on this one.
Yeah. What's getting a little bit annoying to me with the way that Caleb answers these questions, I would like him to know who picked the ball up. I'd like him to be able to say it was Nate Wiggins who stepped in front. Earlier in the week, he was asked about what do you like about the Ravens defense, and he talked for 2 minutes and just didn't name one name on the whole defense. And I'm like, you are the quarterback. Attention to detail matters. I want you to be able to name guys off like you really know it. And I still think there's a way for him to climb up as far as to really commanding his position and his responsibilities.
I think you kind of got to wonder. I'm not saying this is fact or not, but you got to wonder how the pregame preparation is every week, right? If he's really understanding exactly what they're giving at him, the different coverages and things of that nature, different blitzes, you got to wonder the preparation, how that is each week.
Well, and whether it's preparation or it's just experience right now, I don't think he's seen the game very well for himself. I think he's seen what he's being told to see. You know what I mean? He's just okay, this is the game plan. This is what they do. It's just everything that's drilled into his mind during the week, which would point to me like the preparation is good enough. But there's another level that the great quarterbacks get to, obviously, where it's like, oh, I'm actually seeing this differently now in the moment, and I got to make this adjustment, and I got to move this guy over here, and now I got to make this read differently because
I know that Wiggins likes to jump that route inside, so I got to go back, stuff like that.
And guess what? That's kind of the same thing with the penalties. The coaches are doing everything they can. At some point, you're the player out there.
Exactly.
You need to make the play.
Yeah.
You need to make the adjustment. You need to fix the mistakes.
Correct.
And that's just not happening right now. Sorry, I just spit all over you.
I didn't notice. I loved it.
Fired up.
I think it's probably frustrating for Ben Johnson because he had a guy like Jared Goff that really understood how defenses work. He knew the system in and out. And then you go to a guy like Caleb Williams that's way more talented arm-wise and the things he can do. So it's probably frustrating to say, like, hey, man, you are way more talented athletically and what you can do with your arm than Jared Goff, but it's just not working correctly right now.
Well, and I say, Bears fans love to play the comparison game. So they're looking at Jaden Daniels, they're looking at Drake May. They're saying, well, this is going on there, and Caleb's doing this, and then the other comparison they make is Jared Goff's progression through Ben Johnson through the 4 years, and what a lot of people will point to is through the first 8 games of Jared Goff under Ben Johnson, there were struggles, and then it took off in the second half of the season. And ultimately, at the start of the year, when Caleb Williams and the offense struggled against the Vikings, everyone said, all right, well, let's get to the middle of the season. Let's get to week 8, and then let's see how it looks. Well, we're here, and things are getting – the inconsistencies continue, and things are arguably getting worse here over the last 2 weeks. And so now it is a gut check time thing. This isn't, break glass in case of emergency and start pulling guys. But at the end of the day, we are now at the halfway point of the year, and these reps that they're banking have to now result in them getting better, not worse. And you're talking about a Ravens defense that has not played well this year. They played admirably today. Great game plan. They heated up the quarterback. They sent blitz. But you have to have answers for those tests, and today they failed. And so we'll see how the second half of the season goes. That's what this season's for. I think losing today – where you had a chance to go to 5-2 and really put yourself in a legitimate playoff talk conversation for the second half of the season. I think we're kind of back to where we were week 3 and week 4. We're still just going to focus on development, progression, and to me, the wins and losses can come and go. This isn't a playoff team. Doesn't mean they can't sneak their way into a playoff game. But they're not a playoff team. This is about development and seeing where this team is by the end of the year. At the halfway point, the answer is not good enough.
All right, I want to hear from DeAndre Swift. We're going to hear from Adam Jahns here shortly, but Johnsy also sent in DeAndre Swift and said we have to play that. So here is the Bears running back after the game.
First 2 drives, we got to come away with 6 instead of 3. That's the first thing that come to my mind. It's red zone efficiency. We got to come away with 6 instead of field goals.
That's red zone efficiency, something you guys talked about this week. What needs to be better done to execute?
You got to score. Got to score touchdowns instead of field goals that come back and bite us. That's really what I know we need to focus on for sure. And the penalties, they keep showing up, so you got to eliminate that.
Was it more defensive looks or self-inflicted wounds, do you think?
It's always self-inflicted. Pre-snap, anything after this holding it, that's things that's going to happen throughout football. But the pre-snap stuff, something we got to eliminate because that's really true.
DeAndre, have you been able to diagnose some of the pre-snap issues? I mean, we've been talking about this now for 2 months.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating when you have those things?
For sure, because it's not clean football. I mean, so that type of stuff always continues to bite us in games like that against an opponent like that. So gotta get it fixed.
What's most urgent to you about the offense right now with all the things that you guys got to clean up?
Penalties for sure. And then scoring touchdowns in the red zone. We get down there a lot. We need to score touchdowns a lot. So we need to fix something.
The screen catch you had was a big play in the game, the 25-yarder there. What did you see as that unfolded?
Just great execution, ran it into a pressure. So anytime we do that and we hook up, we're going to make a play after that. We do better.
What do you think will help convert some of those red zone opportunities into touchdowns? Like what's missing?
I look at the film first and foremost and see where we could have did better. We just got to find a way to get touchdowns when we get down there. We're getting down there a lot, like I said.
How can you guys support Caleb more? Or is this one of those situations where he just has to get out of this funk himself?
I don't think he's in a funk. We all got to be better. It's not him. We all got to be better.
DeAndre, this team was 1-5 coming into today. Like, their season probably would have been over had they lost. Like, did you sense a desperation from them?
We knew we was walking into all week. 1-5 is not who they are. So you wasn't supposed to look at their record at all. We let that one get away from us for sure.
I know that you play on the other side of the ball, but like, were you keeping up with like the stuff yesterday? Just like, is Lamar playing? Is he not playing? Like all this weird stuff.
Not really. We was preparing for him, but when it came out, like all the things, limited, not limited, I ain't really care about all that.
How much did injuries play into just the feeling of the last loss of you?
That ain't got nothing to do with it. We lost the game, penalties, red zone efficiency. Everybody here for a reason.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, there's very frustrated DeAndre Swift, obviously, with the amount of penalties and mistakes that were made, red zone inabilities. Let's go out to Baltimore, the man that was right there in the locker room, as always. Adam Jahns joins us now on your CHGO Postgame Show. Johnsy, give us a little bit of a scene setter on what that locker room was like. First losing locker room in quite a while.
Yeah, well, first things first, it's a very tight locker room, not a lot of room to move and maneuver in there from a player, staff, from an everything standpoint. So very jam-packed in there. It was, you could sense the disappointment on the offensive players. Like, that's my biggest takeaway leaving that locker room. Just like everything DeAndre Swift just said there, the red zone is a problem. The Bears can't put the ball into the end zone. Settling for 6 points in the first quarter in which they were dominating, that's not good. It's very disappointing. And then all these penalties, like, these are adding up and up and up. It's a problem for this team now, boys. They could talk about it all they want. I'm not sure what the solution is. There's some form of accountability that comes into play here, but these penalties, they're happening in all three phases. They're happening at the wrong times, whether it's a pass interference penalty on third down, whether it's a holding penalty on an awesome punt return down to the one, or it's all these false starts continuing. It's all three phases failing when it comes to penalties.
Johnsy, what's your read on the way just the game flipped here? Because early on, the Bears looked like they were going to pull away and be a 3-touchdown winner. Didn't get in the end zone. Obviously, the guys are all talking about how you didn't get touchdowns and then the penalties. But just the way it looked to you, how this game sort of more from the Bears looking to control to really the Ravens kind of winning going away.
Carm, like, this Ravens defense got some players back, and they've been better with Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton. Like, of course they are with them on the field. Of course that's going to happen for them. But they still entered this game as one of the worst defenses in the league. They got some momentum with those 2 red zone stops. They did. Let's not sugarcoat it. By holding the Bears to 6 points in the first quarter, that was a win for the Ravens. Yes, they're falling behind. Yes, they're behind 2 field goals. But at the same time, it's not 2 touchdowns. It's not 14-0. It's 6-0. They're 1 score away from taking the lead. So, in my opinion, to answer your question, Carm, that's where the momentum starts to shift. By holding the Bears offense, out of the end zone, by preventing the touchdowns and holding them to field goals. That's where the Ravens start to seize control of this game.
Johnsy, Ben Johnson said at the podium that he's putting it on the leaders of this team to clean up the penalties. Do you agree with that? Because this Bears team is hovering around 10 penalties a game. And from my standpoint, while I understand the players hold a responsibility, that's a coaching issue as well. So I'm just curious where you stand on this, because the penalties have just been a consistent problem from all the way from training camp now all the way into week 8 of the regular season.
Braggs, my read on that comment is I think he's sick of articulating his own complaints. I think he's sick of sharing those messages with his own coaches, who then share those messages with the players. Eventually, the players themselves have to take accountability, and that's where the leaders come in. Who are the captains? It's Grady Jarrett. It's Caleb Williams. It's like
it's Joe
Tooney,
Byard, and Cairo.
Kevin Byard.
I had to look it up too, by the way, as we did that on the show. Like, that's who he's calling out, and whoever else is right up there. Your best players on the team, right?
And then you have leaders in the position groups that got to stand out too. Like that's part of the ripple effect and how this has to go down. So I think there's some frustration seeping into Ben Johnson's way of life here. Yes, they've just won 4 games in a row. The takeaways did not travel with them to Baltimore. Obviously, the secondary was shorthanded, but to answer the question about the penalties and leadership, I think Ben Johnson's getting a little PO'd with with them adding up every single week. 10 penalties per week. That's what the stat is. That's an insane number of penalties to deal with every single week.
And Johnsy, on the offensive side of the ball, Caleb struggled again.
Yeah.
What do you attribute to that to? Do you think it's more on Caleb, a combination of him and Ben Johnson together, and do you think they have to dumb it down offensively?
Let me just paint a picture a little bit just in terms of, the interception that Caleb had, where he had great protection. He's standing in the middle of the end zone. I like the play call. I like that Ben Johnson showed some faith, put some trust in his young quarterback in the situation to throw out of the end zone. But afterwards, it's clear that the quarterback and the head coach saw that play differently. If you watch it, it looks like Caleb locks on to Rome Odunze for a bit. And later after the game, he called it a good read. I don't think Ben Johnson saw it the same way. The way he put it, hold on, I want to get the exact quote right. This is Ben Johnson. Just in my mind, there might have been another option that we could have gotten to. That's how Ben Johnson recalled the interception. And if you watch the replay, obviously Carman guy's releasing out of the backfield, and he's kind of wide open in the flat. So the coach and the quarterback, the play caller and the quarterback weren't on the same page in terms of that interception. Look, you want to give Caleb some time, right? This is a complicated offense with a lot of layers to it. There's a lot going on. He needs that time. This is how players develop. But at the same time, I think we said this early on in training camp. I think some of these ups and downs, these failures that Caleb is going to experience will become a test of Ben Johnson's patience going forward. And I think we're seeing some of that come to fruition right now.
Well, especially, right, when you were the one that listed off the stats for this Ravens defense. 32nd in the league in this, 30th in that. And so, if you're saying, they've got to find a rhythm, find a groove, and get Caleb's confidence built back up, it should have came against a defense like today, right?
Yeah. And Briggs, I get having Roquan Smith back is going to change the complexion and the tenacity of your defense. Having Kyle Hamilton all over the field is going to change the tenacity of your defense and everything that they could do. A lot of different looks are provided by Kyle Hamilton, but at the same time, they look like a top 5 defense today against the Bears. Not one that's ranked in the bottom in almost every important statistical category when it comes to defense. Like that's a problem. That's a thing. I expected the Ravens to be better than what their numbers show, but not like this good. You thought the Bears would be able to at least run the ball better. You thought that the play action was working early. It looked great early on in the game, especially in the first quarter. But, yeah, the Ravens seem to have all the answers for whatever the Bears tried to do as this game played out.
Jahns, I know you talked to both Rome Odunze and Colston Love, and what you learned from those guys.
Yeah, I think it's the same messaging as DeAndre Swift. I think there's a sense of frustration building amongst the offensive players. One, about the lack of touchdowns when they get to the red zone, and 2, all of these penalties just keep adding up. And it's pre-snap penalties. Those are beyond frustrating. You're willing to shrug off, play penalties that happen after that, whether it's a hold or whatnot. The pre-snap stuff is a problem for the Bears right now. So the messaging has been the same. The red zone is a problem. These pre-snap penalties, all these penalties are a problem. And I think they're starting to really irk and bother some of the offensive players, especially your key players.
And Johnsy, on the defensive side of the ball, did you talk to any of the front seven at all? They had some issues with some of those zone reads, keeping contained. Did anyone talk about that in particular?
None of the zone read stuff. Grady Jarrett spoke. There was a lot of conversations, Corey, about the gamesmanship played by the Ravens heading into this game. We knew that was a big storyline coming in, just in terms of how the Ravens played, with Lamar Jackson's injury status and all the releases and announcements that came after that. But, guys, the defense lost to a quarterback who had to be activated, signed off the practice squad on Friday. Like, to me, it's everything. And I get he's had some success. He's had some success against the Bears a few years ago. I get that's part of the storyline, but come on. He was on the practice squad just a few days ago, and the Bears just lost to him. So I get the injuries were a factor in the secondary, but you would at least think that they would have the advantage in some capacity in some of these matchups on this field today.
There's a little side conversation going on there about Jake Moody with Cairo missing the 58-yard field goal, which seems pretty unfair. But do you think there's any juice to Bears fans freaking out and wanting a kicker with a bigger leg?
I think that's just a crazy situation because a lot of things played out wrong on that last possession, the end of the first half. He had the intentional grounding. You had Caleb Williams scrambling for a big gain, which is great, but he's got to get out of bounds. He took some accountability for that. Yes, 58 yards, the percentage goes down. I don't think Ben Johnson was pointing any fingers by any means at Cairo Santos. I think he was happy how the operation unfolded with that entire unit rushing out onto the field to at least have that opportunity to kick that field goal. But I'm willing to bet if they had another timeout and Cairo Santos had time to set himself and take a breath, I bet you he puts more leg onto that kick, onto that ball, and it goes to the uprights. It looked good from my vantage point, which is almost right behind the goalpost where the new press box is, but it was just short.
So here, interesting observation though, Johnsy, because I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I think that would have been a career high for him. But you didn't have to use the timeout. You could have just taken the 10-second runoff and had 12 seconds and had the timeout in your pocket, and then you run the same exact play. You burn the timeout. Cairo does have more time, and it's not that was an option that they could have gone with. And obviously Ben Johnson went the other route to save the time and then do what he called the hurricane.
Yeah, the hurricane. It's the first time
hurricane
Caleb
drill.
Williams and Caleb Williams called it the 911. So they described that play differently. And
I'm pretty sure Hightower calls it Toro. So
yeah, so three names.
Whatever, they executed it well.
Yeah,
they did.
Looked all right. I thought it looked good from my vantage point. Obviously, it was short, but you get my point. A lot of things to question on that last possession, on the coach and especially on the quarterback. So that intentional grounding. Have you guys listened to Caleb Williams yet? So that was off a choice route with Colston Loveland, where they obviously weren't on the same page. So I'm sure you'll play Caleb Williams later, but that's how he described how things played out on that crucial, really intentional grounding penalty. He was just not on the same page as his young rookie tight end, and that's going to happen. I get it, but in a moment like that, you need them to be locked in together. You need them to be in sync.
So that's interesting, though, because if I can pull this up fast enough, in the moment, our guy JT O'Sullivan from the quarterback school tweeted, "I'd bet a lot of money 84 was supposed to go to the flat hot on what looked like a choice on that last grounding call." So he was all over that. It sounds like. So it does sound like that might have actually been on Colston Loveland instead of Caleb.
Right. But, this is about reps. This is about, making big plays in key moments, and they're just not making them. They're really not.
Well, I guess the million-dollar question of today is, we're halfway through the season. Bears fans in our chat and on social media, whatever, reacting to this game
it's a freak out.
Getting nervous, and some are panicking about Caleb Williams. And you said, this is going to require patience from Ben Johnson with Caleb. So I'm just curious, what is your patience level? Where are you at right now that we're halfway through the season, and where Caleb Williams is at and where he needs to be by the end of the year, and how confident are you that he can get to a standard that you deem acceptable?
Well, he needs to be better than losing to Tyler Huntley. I'll tell you that. He can't lose to a quarterback, again, who was on the practice squad, Greg, just a few days ago. It can't play out that way, and I get that the Ravens defense was better today. Put all that context, on the table. I understand that. But at the end of the day, your first overall pick quarterback has to be better than the opposition's quarterback. That was not Lamar Jackson the Bears were playing today. That's what it comes down to. That's where the difference is, in the NFL. The best quarterbacks are consistent. They raise their level of play when needed. And Caleb Williams, he would tell you this himself, needs to be better than he played today against the Baltimore Ravens. His standards are higher than he played today against the Baltimore Ravens. His expectations are higher than he played today against the Baltimore Ravens. So I think we should hold him to that. He's a first overall pick quarterback. He needs to be better than he played here in Baltimore.
I think that's fair. We can have a little bit more of a discussion on that, too, I think, here before we close out the show. Johnsy, anything else, any other nuggets you want to share before you hop on that 5 a.m. flight back to Chicago?
Oh, don't remind me. And that note, I'm out of here, boys. No, I'm kidding. It's Look, they're not panicking. You know, I know Ben Johnson's interview was short. I think you'll get some insight out of Caleb Williams once you play that as well. But yeah, I'll see you boys. That flight's going to come really, really early.
All right, go get some sleep. There he is, Adam Jahns at the stadium.
See you boys.
Why are you booing Johns?
I want to. Patrick,
Come on,
Briggs.
Briggs.
They're cheering for him, so I'm booing him.
That's not nice.
I'm not happy.
Let's not turn in on each other here with a tough loss. Let's stay positive, or you can be negative, but be negative.
Shot at 87
out.
this
Negative
weekend.
out.
Be happy.
That's right.
You know what's really going on here? Greg is just mad that he flipped his pick. You know, he changed his pick. That's really what he's thinking about here. I told he's gonna have to live with that for a long, long time.
It is true. We're
Actually,
back.
I flipped it back at the end of the game.
It is. It is true. We're back in the normal order where Mark Carman is number one, as I have been for so long, at the top of the food chain.
Yep. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
Not
I mean,
in tennis,
that's
though.
what I do. I don't downplay it unlike you guys. I'm happy for you.
No, it means everything to Greg.
I'm happy for you that you're at the top.
It means absolutely everything to you.
I saw how happy you were at the end of the game when they were losing, and I know how much this means to you.
Wow.
You know what? I also
wasn't happy they were losing. Did find the whole.
You know what I
whatever
also
was
learned
going
during
on
the
in the
game?
goal line comical, whatever that was, the QB sneak, and then he flopped and fell down, and I was like, oh my god, this couldn't have looked worse.
You know what I learned during the game?
What's that?
Remember how Greg went and played golf in Medina?
Yeah,
a couple times.
I have played Medina, Patrick Norton. I don't know if you've heard twice.
No, but I was upset I didn't get an invite. You know who did get an invite? I heard
Steven?
Corey Wootton.
Oh yeah, no, they were talking about it. Great, they're gonna get together.
He invited Corey Wootton from St. Louis before his teammate here on a daily basis.
Corey is our teammate too.
I said on a daily basis.
Yep.
Daily basis. Listen,
unfortunately,
can we get to
I'm
Caleb?
envious that he only has to deal with you on Sundays.
Shout out Sam. Shout out to our guy Sam, who treats us all to rounds of golf, and we appreciate him very much. It's the only semblance of happiness I've had this weekend as I drove down to Kentucky to watch Purdue get beat up, and then drove to Joe's on Weed.
By the way, I
did shoot an 87 at Black Sheep. So
but what did you shoot when Hoge played with you, and who won?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, by the way, I also
why are you turning on me, bro? Now you're out of the Sam group.
Speaking of turning on you, I have inside information that I just got texted to me. One of my sources says that you called Patrick Norton 3 times yesterday to make sure he changed your pick.
Yeah. Well, that's because he wasn't going to, and I told him you better listen to your daddy, and that's Dad Hoge, who said that we could change our picks.
Let's go.
All right. We have one final ad to get to, I believe, right? We got one final break.
Well, yeah, and we're shouting out all the elite athletes here. Beckett Bernfeld was incredible today on the soccer field. Just walked in today, just an absolute dominator. Yep. And we got Jackie and the Wizard just walked in as well.
Where's Beckett?
The amazing Layla. She's in the front row over there to the right. You can barely see him with the sunshine. All right, no booing.
Since we're doing child shout outs, shout out to the Ice Dogs winning 5-2 today too.
All right, James Hoge. Let's go, James Hoge.
We're still waiting on James Hoge's official face-off percentage, but we'll see if it's still Jonathan Taves
Just a moment of lightness here. Don't worry, we'll get to Caleb. Let's get back to it.
We are. All right, we will play Caleb Williams coming up next, but first.
A shout out to a great Bears fan and a phenomenal businessman.
Me?
Okay. Yeah, not you. Ray Scarpelli and Ray Auto. Ray Chevy is the best. And look, we've got deals that are sweeter than the candy that you are consuming over there. Ray Chevrolet.
I'm going to have a lot of candy this week.
You come in today, no tricks, just treats. It's the No Tricks, Just Treats sales event. Drive home with 0% financing, $0 down, no payments until 2026. That's sweet. And, of course, 0 hidden fees on select new Chevrolet models.
A lot of zeros.
They got 25 vehicles priced under $20,000 for you, which is sweet. They are one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You will find the perfect vehicle for you. Do not miss out on the No Tricks, Just Treats sales event going on all month long. 0% financing, $0 down, no payments until 2026, 0 hidden fees. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since
1963.
Get yourself a Trax together. Let's drive.
That's right. And give a shout out. Want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Game Time. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experience in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. That's really important for me when I'm going on secondary ticket markets. There's nothing worse than when you find the bait and switch. This is how much it is. 5 windows later, it's twice as much, 4 times as much as what you were trying to buy. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets, NFL tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
All right, we promised you Caleb Williams coming back. Here is what the quarterback had to say as Carm's late coming out of the break.
Sit down, you idiot.
Caleb.
Penalties and being able to score in the red zone. I think, we get into, those moments and, we're either not scoring and converting in those moments, and we know, that we can. I mean, we could have been up 14 in those first 2 drives we had, I think it was, or first 2 out of 3 or whatever the case may have been, and that would have created a bunch of momentum for us, and I think that's how it's been a good amount of the year, especially these past 2 games, been in the red zone a bunch, and not necessarily being able to punch it in the high red and things like that. So I think that's the 2 main things that we got to fix, and the guys jumping off sides and those type of things we'll get fixed, and we'll get that fixed and be able to move on from those, and then we just got to execute the plays from there.
What's your read on the interception?
Yeah, it was a good read. Rome man-to-man with the guy that caught the pick, and I just didn't give a good ball to Rome.
There at the end, you get hit on the deep ball to DJ. First of all, you okay?
Yeah, no, we're all good.
Second of all, and then the series where you sneak and they kind of take a while getting the ball off you, what could have been done differently there? I know it's at the end in the 14-14, but still.
Yeah, I think just punching it in that situation. And then, right there at the end, it was just me and DJ not being on the same page. I think it was 0. I think I saw. I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but 0 was sitting. Obviously, he was sitting a little bit lower on the front part of the goal line, but I still saw space to the right of him. So I tried to get DJ to try to throw it there, and I think it's just a miscommunication in that situation.
Do you think that that end of the first half drive could have been managed better? I mean, I know there was an intentional grounding, which probably was debatable, and then there were some passes or some completions inbounds. What was your kind of summation of the whole thing?
Yeah, we had 2 timeouts. The intentional grounding just wasn't on the same page with Loveland. I was throwing him breaking out. It was a choice route, so this isn't anything about Loveland and anything like that. We just weren't on the same page. It's a choice route. He has a couple different options to break in, sit, or break out and things like that. And just wasn't on the same page, and that comes with reps and things like that. So I think that's what it comes down to. I could have gotten out of bounds. Also, if we want to talk about managing and things like that, that's a part of it. Is that I could have got out of bounds in that long run to save that second time out, and but that didn't happen. And so I think it just comes down to connecting. I think it comes down to being on the same page and just executing the plays that are called.
Did you just decide in that moment that you could get more yards? Didn't you go out of bounds?
Yeah, I thought I could get more if I didn't go out, and I ended up sliding and got up and around midfield.
What's the goal down on that last play in the first half where you obviously have no timeouts left? You're trying to set up a hurricane field goal.
The idea of the last play?
Just, what are your options there?
When I was throwing, or what are you saying?
Yeah.
Okay. The play before the last play, I wanted to try and get us back in range, and I felt that they were gaining depth on the defense, and I knew Loveland was about to pop out after he got out in his nudge block, and Just tried to give him a runner's ball and keep upfield shoulder and let him get as much as he could to be able to get us in field goal range. And Cairo missed by very, very, very small. So I think in that execution of that 9-1-1 or whatever hurricane situation, I think we just don't have the daggone penalty before.
You didn't get as much from the running game as you had the previous 2 days.
Yep.
Was it Ravens, or did you guys just was it something else?
Yeah, I mean, let's give credit to those guys over there. They came out and played a hell of a game. They made the plays when they needed to, and I think that's what it comes down to. It's a hell of a team over there. I know their record doesn't necessarily show it, but they've been in multiple championship games, playoff games, and things like that. And that game today was one of those games where they got to come out and try and win this game. And we didn't execute the plays that we needed to at the right moments, and they did.
You've talked this season about.
All right, there's some of the quarterback, Caleb Williams, after the game. We, as we always do, win or lose, give out our game balls. It's sponsored by RC Cola. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola. Corey, I know you got one.
Yep, mine's going to be Rome Odunze. The relationship between him and Caleb seemed to be on the same page. Was a perfect at times, some drops, some missed throws, errant throws. But I think the one thing is the targets are there with him, the chemistry is there with him.
Greg, do you have one, or are you just protesting the game balls? That nobody gets a game ball?
That
sounds like a no. That sounds like
I'm
nobody
very
gets it.
angry, and so who do I give a game ball to? And that's a tough one.
I got one.
I'll pass to Carm.
Okay. All right.
0 game balls from Greg. My game ball, I'm going to give it to the other side, which is not necessarily the spirit of this segment. But look,
you can.
He's making his first start of the year, and Tyler Huntley was 17-22. He ran for 53 yards. He caused enough problems. He kept the Bears' defense off balance. He was a major problem today. This is a guy that was counted out. Cooper Rush was playing in front of him. I like guys that are counted out in life, and he was one of them, and he played great today. So
I didn't know we could give the other team the game ball.
I just broke the rules there, buddy. You want to break the rules? You do it all
I'm
the
not
time.
going to break the rules. I'm going to give my game ball to Cairo Santos, who made 3 field goals in this game. He came up short on the 58-yarder, but it was a well-struck ball. It was right down the middle. He just doesn't quite have the leg for that. And I agree with Jahns. Maybe if he wasn't so rushed, he gets able to get a little bit more on it. So on a game where there's slim pickings here, I thought Cairo, all of his makes were like right down the middle. So plus he scored 9 of their 16 points.
Montez Sweat
actually more than that when you include the extra points.
Yeah, Montez Sweat had a sack. That was good to see. Dio, I'm looking at this. I got to rewatch the game here about 3 times, but Dio had 8 tackles, which I think
he set the edge a couple times pretty nicely. It's not, Tyler Huntley, just like Lamar Jackson's not an easy guy to contain, and obviously they broke contain. I'm going to give my game ball to Joe's on Weed Street.
Yeah, Joe's.
We appreciate you guys. Every time we come out here for draft parties or live shows we've done here for games, watch parties, the turnout is always fantastic. So
no
shout
one's
out
here
to
now,
all the
but
fans.
that's okay.
Yeah, we get it, man. It's a tough loss, but we had a huge turnout here once again here today. And shout out to everyone that came out to Joe's on Weed Street. But shout out to the staff and everybody that works hard here at Joe's. You guys are great. The sound people, the lighting people, the bar behind the back, everybody's killing it. Bartenders, everybody across the board couldn't be more accommodating. Joe's on Weed Street is a foundation staple of Chicago, and it's always an honor and a privilege to stand
Foundation staple.
Foundation staple. Listen, I got a zillion names. We don't have time to do that now, but Spencer and Scott and the Dolphins Cutler jersey. You guys were amazing. Kevin, who drafted, we talked running back in the airport. My guy Eli for out of Maine West. He wanted a harmonica today. I'm sorry we didn't do that. Ian, born and raised, went to Lane Tech. Shout out Lane Tech. Shout out Grace Carman, my amazing niece who tied in her soccer game today, 1-1. What about Jacob at Lincoln Park, Hoge? What can you say about Jacob at Lincoln Park?
Nothing.
I don't know.
He loves me. He loves that. And then his experts, I don't know about all the Bates and stuff there, buddy. But he's still a big Carm fan. Love that out of him. What about Carlos and Bryce and Matt from down the street? Matt was crushing wings left and right. That was super impressive. What about Rogan and Kerry and Nick, Glenn Ellen,
First ever pure Rogan I've ever met.
Outstanding Rogan.
Irish background.
Danielle and Shernan were here as well. Carlos out of Oak Forest out south. He made the drive down here. That guy he wants a Carman Sense T-shirt with like a little Greek mythology. That would be, I think that's a great idea. And what about Laura, born in DeKalb, now in Florida, lives in the Tampa Bay area. We talked to Saddlebrook and the amazing.
Do you remember when you said we didn't have time for this?
Yeah, we didn't have time for this. I don't know why I just did that.
We don't have time for this.
What about Zach in the Butkus jersey, just outside of Aurora, made the drive in from the west? I told him about my radio's time in DeKalb. That was awesome. Brian in the bathroom, we bonded.
Brian in the bathroom.
Brian in the bathroom. That was
They
amazing.
bonded in the bathroom.
Patrick had the Hester jersey on. Did you talk to Patrick?
They bonded in the bathroom.
We did. Marco on the NU Wilds, and I'm pointing out these. Everybody's left, but Marco, you're out there.
He pitched a Northwestern Wildcats podcast,
as we should do.
That got denied.
He's the president. He was the president of the NU Wild side. Yeah. Okay. Shout out to everybody who came here. Those just a couple people.
All right, we got to get to Super Chat. Steven is going to rip through some of these, and we got a couple of them big Toyota big money Super Chat. So I'm going to hand him over my headset so he can talk and rip these off.
I'm not allowed to speak during this segment.
That's right. That's right. That's the show everyone's tuning in
You
for.
might as well just mute my mic.
We got $189 and $10 Super Chat. At what point do we acknowledge Caleb's accuracy and cadence problems are what they are? Yeah, I mean, we've had some issues. It's not always going to be perfect, but we appreciate your Super Chat. Nick Sells sends $5. He says red zone TDs would change Caleb's opinions. Goff was 1-6 first year with Ben with a good team. Caleb will be 4-3 in stats matched. Goff played in a Pro Bowl prior. I do agree that, had some of those red zone opportunities turned into TDs, we'd be talking about a different game right now. Giuseppe Mandel, our guy, $20. He says, overall, team just played terrible today. No energy again. We need to be getting Swift or the running game, 20-plus carries a game. Refs awful again, but we did not play well and did not deserve that win today. Bear down next week.
That's right. Take on the Bengals. No problem.
Not allowed to talk.
We got Thomas Ziegler. He says, at some point, the offense needs to subsidize the defense. The QB is such a non-factor in the last few games.
T-Dog coming in with it.
Jason McKenna sends $5. He says, Caleb Williams gets outplayed again, this time by Huntley. How much more of this can you take? You Caleb Williams zombies confuse me. Can't wait until you see reality.
J-Love, have some patience. J-Love.
Jason is a big Justin Fields guy from what I recall. $2 from Dimitri. He says Ryan Poles is the biggest problem with the Bears. Well, those draft picks haven't really contributed too much to this point, so I understand your frustrations. D-Crad, $20. He says DA looked like Flus today. Ravens' second drive, 2nd and 22, and we didn't get the pressure. Look at the line of scrimmage like we've come back accustomed to. Sat back and let them pick us apart for the first down that led to the first TD. Caleb Brennan sends $2. He said Frank Nazar plays hockey tonight.
We're
That's
going.
good.
Big crowd going
let's
out
go
there.
Hawks. They're looking good. Dante says $5. He says the Bears are sadly mistaken. They don't think they need a running back. I'm tired of seeing Swift go down after first contact. The numbers last year actually support your claim here that he is not the best running back after contact in the NFL. Crystal, who's still here with us, she sends us $10. Shut up, Braggs. There's no talking. She says, JETS Jets, let's go Justin Fields forever, a Justin fan.
39-38, go Justin.
Ooh, Crystal.
$5.
No clapping
from
or
Steven
smiling.
Richardson, first overall pick in the draft and missing wide open receivers halfway through the year or two. This ain't, we need to develop him more. We got a $50 super chat from Jonathan Parks. I believe his second $50 super chat of the show. He says, unironically, what will it take to bench Caleb? We've been sneaking games on the back of turnovers despite good weapons and O-line. Caleb is playing like a bust who warranted the red flag reports. We're 4-3. Is he worth squandering a possible playoff spot?
They're not benching him. If he gets hurt, Tyson will play.
And here's our biggest super chat of the show. Let's make this Toyota big money super chat while we're at it. $200 from Bill O. He's been consistently in here, and he's consistently supporting RC Cola. He says, bottom line, the defense gave up too many points. We have no schemes for go-to plays in the red zone. Way too many pointless penalties. Our center has had 2 below-average games in a row. Time for another RC Cola so I can relax.
It does help you on the relaxation. Shout out RC. And listen, it is surprising that they are not more on point in the red zone considering Ben Johnson is their head coach, but I'm assuming that will get better over time. You got a big show coming up here, buddy.
That's right, I do.
Brick by brick, right around the corner. Anything more?
Yeah, last 3. We got $5 from Raycan TV. Says Duvernay and Zacchaeus shouldn't be playing Luther Burden. Loveland and Burden seemed like they were a luxury pick, that not helping the team. Well, we find out that Luther Burden did have a concussion in that game, so that's probably why he wasn't as involved as you would have liked, or I would have liked.
They missed him.
We got Thomas, 83, $5. Are people forgetting what a bad game Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields looked like? I'm so over the dramatic QB takes. Criticism is fair, but we still got one. Let's effing go, Caleb.
Good patience.
Final super chat of the show. Josh the Jukebox, $20. He says, will it be okay if Caleb turns out to be just an average or above average QB? The team is being built for him, so will it be okay if Caleb Williams doesn't get any better than he is right now? Or is that considered another QB failure?
He absolutely has to get better than he is right now. That's not a question.
And you'll hear more of those takes coming up on Brick by Brick with
Yeah,
Lance.
but finally, let's chill out a little bit. People are definitely overreacting on like, he's still – would you tell me we were driving down here, you told me that for him to throw 300 yards a day was like plus 750? He almost got there.
So it was 7.
And it was
bad. Like, I think we're forgetting some of these games where the quarterbacks struggle to get to 100 yards.
Exactly.
Like, so come on. Can he be a lot better? Yes. Does he need to be better? Yes. Has it not been great the last 2 weeks? Yes. It's still far from like a giant problem.
But quickly, I think the one thing that people really criticize with Caleb is the fact that they said he's a generational talent.
Well, it always comes down to expectations.
Yeah,
I
so
get
it's
it.
the expectations from it.
Yeah. All right, we need to go. Brick by Brick after show is coming up next.
Go,
Thanks
Greg.
to everybody that came out today. We greatly appreciate it. If you're watching online, hit that like button. Please, it helps keep the show moving, and hit the subscribe button as well. Coming up next right here on CHGO is the Brick by Brick after show with Greg Braggs, with Lance Briggs, with Jerry Azumah. Should be a lot of fun, so make sure you tune in.
Tune in or I'll fight you.
Hawks coverage tonight. Kings game. It's going to be huge. Jay and Mario, and they're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you to everybody on our huge CHGO staff that all came out to help today. Everybody at Joe's, we greatly appreciate you. We will Hoge and Jahns tomorrow at 9 a.m. live, and then CHGO Bears at 1. Full day of coverage. As always, 3 shows for you tomorrow as well. But right now, it's Brick by Brick coming up next.
We all silly like the mayor.